I'm telling you right now, you just need to get a hobby. Hello! Welcome to a new series that we're starting on this channel called Crochet Coffee Chats. Basically getting your little drink of choice and some yarn and a hook or needles or whatever hobby you want to work on while watching this, and we're just gonna chat about various topics. So let's do this. The setup is very much crochet pillow, crochet blanket, crochet curtain ties, and a beautiful autumnal tree outside, which you can't see, but I'll show you it. Just having a cozy time, you know what I mean? This isn't that different to videos I've done in the past where I've done like a video essay while crocheting and just like yapping away. But these are going to be more like personal topics, much more off the cuff, like unplanned, raw content. So if you're interested in any of that, please do subscribe and let's get into the video. Really quickly, I want to show you what exactly we're working on today, and that is this filet crochet top. Putting like my hand behind it can kind of show you what it will look like on skin. And it is so cute. Right now it's a tube top, but I've made one strap so far and I'm working on finishing the other strap, so that's what I'll be doing while we chat about hobbies. I just thought hobbies would be a fitting topic for the first edition of this series. I don't know if I'll attach the straps in this video, probably not, because I feel like I need to focus to do that, but part of me just wants to attach them and be done. And another part of me wants to do like buttons so that I can wear this as a tube top or as a tank top with straps. So let me know in the comments, because most likely I will not have finished it by the time we're done talking. So it'd be really good to know what you think I should do for this top. I'm doing a picot border around the straps, just like I did at the bottom of this top. And picot is basically this little detail where you have little like balls as a border. I posted a vlog of me crocheting in Paris recently, and I talk more about how I did the picot at the end of that video, so if you want to go watch that, I'll put it here. So this is why you need a hobby. I'm genuinely of the opinion that hobbies can change your life, so we need to talk about why you need to get off your phone, touch some grass, or some yarn, or some paper, whatever it is that you like, and prioritize your hobbies finally, because if you're not prioritizing the things you love, what are you prioritizing? Ask yourself that. Ask yourself that. Come closer, come closer. Okay, now we're all set up. I need to adjust the camera a little bit. When I started to crochet, it was very organic. I think I started to crochet late 2021, early 2022, or maybe the year prior, I don't really remember, but pretty recently and in my 20s. So this isn't like a hobby that I've had as a kid, even though I think we sort of talk about hobbies as if they can only be useful for children or teens, basically people who aren't adults and don't have to work. Like, that's who we mainly talk about the benefits of hobbies to. But hobbies for adults are so important, especially because as you get older, I think you find yourself more and more doing things for other people just because that's how our society is set up, you know? Maybe you have to take care of an aging family member. Maybe you have kids. Maybe you've started a job that's really demanding, and, you know, basically as you become an adult, I think you find yourself doing things for others and doing less things for yourself. Whereas when you're a kid, you don't have as much responsibility for the most part, and life is just different. You're there to explore, to get to know yourself, and try and find creative ways to spend your time. Whereas as an adult, I feel like time is much more valued because we have less of it, and because the time that we do have is spent working for others or helping others. But it's for that reason that I think adults actually need hobbies, maybe even more than children do. I mean, that's probably not true. I think it's probably really good for a child's development to have a few hobbies going. But I feel like we don't talk enough about the effect that losing a hobby has on us as adults. For me, I started crocheting when I was starting my master's in London. So, you know, I was in a new city, in a new country actually, and I didn't even think about it in this way at the time, but I think it was a really good way to have something that could be completely mine. So something that wasn't for a grade, or that wasn't for money, or that wasn't even involving any other person. Very much a solitary act that has no, you know, real productive value or benefit, at least not directly. Just doing it for creative expression, for learning something new, and to relax. And honestly, the satisfaction of learning a new skill as an adult, I mean, I had very briefly learned how to do some crochet as a kid because my mom was teaching someone at her job at the time how to speak Spanish, and in exchange, that coworker was teaching her how to crochet. So just like a fun little exchange for them to have, which I think is really cute. And so I learned how to do like a chain and maybe a few other things, but it wasn't like, my mom didn't become a crocheter and she doesn't crochet now, but I did very briefly learn how to do it, and that's probably why it was in my head to try it as an adult. I think we also like started to understand the benefits of having a hobby in 2020 because there was not much else to do, you know? There's only so much TV you can watch, there's only so many Zoom calls you can have. And when you can't rely on, your typical things that people do to relax, like going to a restaurant or a bar or a club, you're kind of like, oh, maybe I should make banana bread. Maybe I should learn how to knit. Maybe I should pick up a new language. I think people really start to value, like, what can I do in my free time that doesn't necessarily involve going out or involves interacting with other people. Like, people were stuck alone with their thoughts, and I think that's difficult for a lot of people because we're so busy. 2020 was, a time where you were forced to be alone with yourself and forced to be bored, honestly. Wait, I need to add more yarn because, one second. I found crochet to be such a rewarding experience, honestly. Learning something new and just having something to do with my hands, something that I can do pretty much anywhere. It was honestly such a relief looking back on it that I had that when I started my master's, or when I was in the middle of my master's, to just have something completely unrelated to what I was in London to do. I started making a chain. I don't know why. Really, I'm just trying to attach this back to the yarn ball. I think doing something with my hands helped me a lot to just get out of my head, basically, focus on something unrelated to any of my responsibilities, and to create something beautiful, hopefully, in the process, to challenge myself and just have something to do when I would get home from lectures or when I started working on the side from my master's. Just having something that was mine, which I feel like I've said so many times in this video already, but that's what's so lovely about having a craft that you pursue. The yarn ball is attached. Now we can get to business. And speaking of having something beautiful to create, I think we all have a creative side. I know so many people who don't consider themselves to be creative, yet they are creative literally every day of their lives, And this creativity can show in their interest in trying new recipes, or their makeup, or their outfits, or I don't know, the memes that they send to their colleagues and the jokes that they crack around the office. Creativity can show up in so many different ways. So when people say, oh, I'm not creative, I'm just kind of there must be a little creative bone in your body. I think we all have that. And picking up a new hobby, once you get over that hump of learning how to do the thing, in my case, crochet, sewing, photography, video editing, I think you start to feel a little bit like an expert, You're kind of I did that, or ooh, I recognize how that person did that thing. And you start to shift into an artist's way of thinking, You become more observant, you become more curious. You basically just end up taking authority over a subject that no one's paying you to take authority over, and that you're doing out of pure enjoyment. Now that I crochet, I can see a crochet project that I really like online and say I wonder how they did that, or I think they did it this way, or if I was going to do it, I would make these changes and I would do it with this weight of yarn. And you get to kind of speak a new language, basically. Sort of similar to if you get really into running, you end up immersing yourself into this world of being a runner and what does it mean and what are the best routines for warming up and stretching and your sleep, your nutrition. Of course you can get obsessed with anything, so I think maintaining some sort of like distance from the details can be a good thing if you're just doing something for enjoyment. But it is really fun to feel like you're a part of a community, even if you're doing like a very solitary hobby like crochet, because you now speak a new language in a sense. You're able to say like, ooh, I think those are half double crochets and blah, blah, blah. And I wonder how much yardage they used, and like you kind of join a new community without even meaning to, which I think is a really, really nice thing to have as an adult who works, whose main communities might just be the people they live with, like a partner, family members, roommates, the people at work, and that's kind of it. We don't have as many third spaces nowadays, you know? I think for a lot of people their third space is the gym, but if the gym isn't something you're passionate about, then it's kind of like, is that much of a third space? It's kind of just another space of work. It's like a second space as opposed to being the third space, you know, something outside of work and outside of home. There's just something really nice about feeling a bit like an artist, a bit like this is a new side to who you are and like what you're able to say you do to yourself and to others, you know, being able to say like, yeah, I made that, or I'm learning how to make this, or I actually know a lot about this topic now just because I'm freaking cool and I picked up a hobby as an adult. And this sort of new persona that you're able to take on, I think can really boost your confidence, because like I said, you're learning something about a new topic, you have a new thing to talk to people about, you are maybe joining a new community. You get a sense of accomplishment, you know, accomplishment that you learned something new, accomplishment that you made something, accomplishment that it's maybe better than the last one you made, or that you used a new technique. Like that really, really boosts your confidence. And even just on a basic level, I feel like we all know that keeping a promise to yourself is a way to build your self-esteem. So if you say, I'm going to finish this beautiful beanie by the end of the month, when you do that and when you stick to that hobby every single day, even when it gets frustrating, even when you're tired or you'd rather just like scroll on TikTok for hours, you feel so good at the end, you know? And that's not to say that you shouldn't like do some bed rotting and do your thing when you want to. But if you're in a situation where doom scrolling is no longer like making you feel good, where it's gone from scrolling for fun to literally doom scrolling and just feeling like a sense of dread when you're on the internet, that's when a hobby like becomes really, really handy to have on hand. Like I mentioned earlier, I think as adults, we end up taking care of others a lot, whether that's caring for a loved one or whether, you know, taking care of something is you maximizing shareholder value at your job. Like you don't do a lot of things just for yourself. And when you go from caring for something or someone out of obligation to then coming home and only ever watching TV and going to bed, or only ever scrolling on your phone and then going to bed, you start to like really lose yourself. And that can lead to really bad mental health problems and, you know, an identity crisis. It can lead to pretty, you know, scary consequences, honestly. And I think having a hobby helps you bring back your personality, because it forces you to not focus on other people or on other things. It forces you to just literally be alone, most likely, unless you're doing like a group hobby, and forces you to think about what it is that you care about or what you want, or to just like do the things that you used to do as a kid, you know, healing your inner child. And that can bring your personality back. I hate that feeling of being like, I don't know, at a party or something and someone's like, what's up? What's your latest? And you're just kind of like, work, going to sleep. You know, when you don't have the basics to talk about at a party, or when the basics start to just like genuinely get boring to you. When you have a hobby, you're able to kind of like surprise people and maybe inspire people and be like, oh, I've just been like crocheting. I just made like a sweater. Do you want to see it? And like maybe they ask to see it. Maybe they say, oh, I would love to learn how to do that. Or, oh, I know how to knit, but I don't know how to crochet. And like, you learn more about the people around you. They learn more about you. And you're able to talk about something that's not just the typical like work, life updates that literally everyone has. You can expand on your conversations and feel like you know yourself more, or that your personality is a bit more distinct than when you go from like home to work and back home. And that's it. But on the other hand, I don't want this to seem like I'm saying if you don't have a hobby, you're freaking boring and what's wrong with you? Like, no, that's not the case. I think it's very normal, especially nowadays with social media, to want to just like come home and do nothing and laugh at funny videos, cry at sad videos, and then go to bed. Like, I love doing that as much as the next girl. I'm just saying that when that starts to become harmful, having something to fall back onto is like incredibly helpful. I feel like as a society, we prioritize productivity over rest so much. And a small way that you can fight against that is by literally just doing something else outside of work. You don't have to monetize it. You don't have to even be good at it, honestly. Like, you can just do it because you want to do it, because you want to learn something new. And there's no shame in picking up a hobby, realizing it's not for you, and then moving on and trying something else, or maybe trying a different version of it and continuing to see if you like it. Like, I think people get into their head with trying a new hobby and they're like, oh, I failed that, I was bad at it, I'm never going to try anything ever again. And it's okay to try something and to not enjoy it and to then try something else. Like, don't beat yourself up if you don't become a master at something. I think that's very much like the productivity mindset getting into your head and telling you that something's not worth doing if you're not amazing at it, or if you're not going to get accolades to do that thing. Basically what I'm saying is to, get over yourself. It's okay to be bad at something and still enjoy it, or to be bad at a hobby and try a new hobby that you do enjoy. Like, that is completely fine. And then on the other hand, maybe you're really good at something but you don't enjoy it, then don't do that thing just because you're good at it, because this should be something that's just like really personal to yourself, that makes you feel good, that makes you feel fulfilled, that you can do for no one's approval but your own. I genuinely noticed the difference when I haven't been crocheting, and I think because I've been posting a lot on YouTube and I've just kind of been busy with video editing, which is another like hobby of mine. I really enjoy my YouTube channel. Like, I'm so glad I started one, but it has meant that, I'm not sitting down in the evening to crochet a bunch. I'm kind of like video editing or filming a ton and maybe crocheting here and there, but not making it a priority, which is fine. Sometimes I get into a lull where I don't have any projects that I really feel like working on. Nothing I want to make is like inspiring me right now, which I think is completely fine. Especially in the summer, I feel like I crochet less. But when I was crocheting like the other day, probably when we were in Paris, when I posted that vlog, I was like, I feel like this is what's been missing from my life. Like, I wasn't feeling sad or anything, but I was just kind of like not inspired, maybe feeling a bit like on a merry-go-round. That's normal to go through those different phases. But my point being is that I can really feel a difference when I've not been prioritizing my hobbies, now that they've become such like an important part of my life. And I feel like that's just a testament to the fact that hobbies are important and they're valuable and they could very well change your life. I'm not sure what you think about this. If you're watching this, you probably are interested in crochet or sewing or different crafts, or maybe just are interested in having hobbies in general. But I'm curious to hear what you think. If you've picked up any hobbies as an adult, if there's any new hobbies that you're interested in trying, like what is your vibe and your opinion when it comes to having hobbies as an adult? I think that's all I have to say today. I've been yapping for like almost 45 minutes, probably more actually. I have only done one side of the picot. Honestly, it would have been faster if I wasn't also talking while doing this, but what fun is that? Again, we don't need to be fast or amazing at our hobbies. We just have to enjoy them and grow and learn from them. I'm going to finish my coffee and the strap, but let me know in the comments your thoughts, and also, like I said earlier, your thoughts about how I should attach these, if they should be detachable or not. Let me know what you think. As always, thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you in the next one. The next video and the next crochet coffee chat. What am I calling it? I don't even remember. Anyways, see you next time. Bye!